It's an emergency. You thought it was just drama. But Archangel Michael says it was a spiritual attack. In the final week of this spiritual cycle, the heavens have begun to tremble. Archangel Michael steps forward, not with whispers, but with the sword of truth drawn, fire surrounding his presence, and divine urgency in his voice. This is not a moment for the casual believer, nor is it a message meant for the idle listener. This is an emergency call to the awakened, to the ones who have seen the signs but dismissed them as coincidences, to the ones who have cried themselves to sleep this week, confused, angry, and uncertain, the ones who have felt that something deeper was at play, but couldn't quite name it. The veil lifts now. What you experienced wasn't just trauma. What erupted wasn't just personality clash or emotional breakdown. It wasn't just a hard day or a difficult person. It was a just miscommunication. No, it was a calculated spiritual disturbance, a divine warning, a coded message. The shaking you felt in your soul was not disorder, it was disruption by design. You have just crossed a spiritual threshold, and heaven is alerting you now. This is your moment to see clearly, to awaken your spiritual senses, and to move with wisdom. In this final stretch of this cycle, a 7-day spiritual window, something ancient was activated. Forces that have monitored your progress began to stir. The closer you drew to breakthrough, the more they panicked. They disguised their interference as gossip, as misunderstanding, as emotional outburst. But in truth, they were frightened by your light, shaken by your discipline, and threatened by your alignment with divine purpose. You were not being inconvenienced. You were being tested, observed, and targeted. This message comes with sacred fire, and with it, a condition. Still your emotions and listen with your spirit. What you're about to receive is not meant for your flesh to analyze. It's not for overthinking or carnal interpretation. It's for the mature, the awakened, the soul-deep listener. Michael speaks, not as a distant messenger, but as a guardian who has watched your cries, who has warred over your soul in the midnight hours, who has stood between you and unseen forces sent to derail you. He interrupts your scrolling, your distractions, your routine, to declare it was never just drama. It was a spiritual attack masked in chaos. And unless you discern what truly occurred, you will misinterpret the warfare, mislabel the signs, and miss the upgrade hidden in the disturbance. This is not a moment to explain yourself to those who don't carry your spiritual weight. It is a divine summons to recalibrate, to awaken, and to realize heaven is calling you out of reaction and into revelation. You must now shift from carnal confusion to spiritual clarity. What looked like confusion was heaven's alignment strategy. What sounded like drama was a divine extraction of false voices. What felt like emotional ruin was, in truth, your spiritual realignment. Heaven declares, your enemies weren't just people. They were spirits cloaked in familiarity. Your tears weren't just emotion. They were signals, sacred drops that activated angels in your defense. So now be still. Anchor your spirit. Empty your mind of the noise, and incline your heart to the message that follows. This is not entertainment. This is a heavenly transmission. Type I am chosen in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 999 is now surrounding you. Listen now, you who have been trembling under the weight of what you could not name. You who have been pacing the floors at night, asking, why does everything feel so wrong? You who have cried into the silence, breaking apart behind smiles, wrestling invisible battles while others mocked your pain as mood swings. Archangel Michael says, this is no delay. This is a divine intervention. This is a spiritual alarm. This is a holy interruption because you almost missed the signal. The clock has struck in the realm of the spirit, and the shift has already begun. This is not chaos. This is a coded warning. What came upon you suddenly, that confrontation, that heartbreak, that spiraling confusion, it did not arrive by accident. It did not erupt randomly. Well, it was dispatched, disguised, and designed to awaken what was dormant within you. You thought it was just a bad week, but the heavens recorded it as a threshold crossed. In the last 24 to 72 hours, a divine energy shift swept across your timeline. A vibration entered your life, pushing away what could not cross with you into your next season. You may have lost something. Someone may have walked away. Voices may have risen against you. Your name may have been dragged without cause. It all happened quickly, perhaps even without explanation. And yet it wasn't confusion, it was spiritual architecture. Heaven's hands rearranged your atmosphere. And now, Archangel Michael declares, if you've been crying, breaking down, or trembling, this is why. It was your spirit recognizing the warfare before your mind could comprehend it. Your body responded before your logic caught up. You weren't being dramatic. You were being spiritually sensitive. You were not weak. You were highly attuned to the realm beyond the veil. This message is not for the casual listener. It is not for the skeptic, the distracted, or the lukewarm. It is for the awakened warrior. It is for the one who has felt the invisible blows and dared to stand anyway. It is for the remnant that senses when something isn't right, even when everyone else is laughing. This word is for you, because heaven sees your fight, and Michael stands with sword drawn, encamped around your threshold moment. You were not losing your mind. You were receiving revelation. And now, it is time to break the fog. Heaven speaks through the chaos. There is intelligence within your interruption. There is order behind the outburst. There is prophecy hiding in what felt like pain. This is your instruction. Listen now, not with ears, but with spirit. Calm your thoughts. Silence the opinions. Let the noise of drama die, and let discernment rise like incense from your soul. You are in a holy moment. Do not let it pass you by unrecognized. You must remember who you are and whose you are. You are not wandering aimlessly. You are walking into divine clarity. And Michael says, heaven has moved on your behalf already, but your agreement is required. Your awareness is required. Your posture must change. No more victimhood. No more passivity. No more wondering if this is just life happening. This was spiritual assault disguised as drama. It was a hit job masked as misunderstanding. Now take your stand. Return to the place of prayer. Resume the posture of war. Speak the name of the Most High. For as you do, the angels move faster. The defenses increase. The storm calms. You are not abandoned. You are armed. Type I am anointed in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1516 is now activated. You asked, why did they switch on me so fast? One day they were warm, the next, cold. 1 minute they defended you, the next, they doubted you. You've noticed the shift, the sideways glances, the whispered conversations you weren't meant to hear. You noticed how your name was in rooms your feet never entered, and how confusion began to hover over places that once felt safe. Archangel Michael says, this was not normal. It was not accidental. It was strategic spiritual interference. They smiled to your face, but behind closed doors, they plotted your misstep. Not just people, but the spirits influencing them. Not just misunderstandings, but planted dissections. You have been surrounded by false support, friendly enemies, concern that was never pure. They gathered information to distort it. They asked how you were, not to help you, but to monitor your vulnerability. And when the time came, the gossip struck like venom, and it shook your emotions like an earthquake. But you must hear this now. Not all confusion is born of miscommunication. Some confusion is the fruit of spiritual witchcraft. There were forces assigned to disrupt your clarity, spirits sent to fog your mind, personalities disguised as helpers but functioning as saboteurs. You have been under observation, not just by people, but by familiar spirits, those that remembered your weaknesses, studied your patterns, and waited for the opportune moment to strike. And they struck when you were closest to breakthrough. You felt emotionally confused, but what stirred was deeper than emotion. It was your spiritual radar activating. You were not paranoid, you were prophetic. You weren't overreacting. You were under spiritual surveillance. Archangel Michael reveals this drama was a targeted weapon, a miscommunications, spiritually manipulative, a sudden emotional outburst, spiritually provoked, a just checking in texts from people you haven't heard from in months, spiritually timed. This was not life being messy, it was warfare being crafty. And yet, in all this, heaven permitted it to reveal it. Michael says, the disturbance came to unmask the hidden. The shift came to expose the watchers. The betrayal came to extract your agreement with the past. Do not grieve their exit. Do not mourn the collapse of what was never real. What left was meant to be removed. What stayed silent when you were attacked revealed its true allegiance. And now, a call goes forth to your soul. Do not respond in the flesh. Do not try to fix what God disrupted. Do not chase explanations where heaven has closed the door. Let the mystery teach you. Let the silence speak. Let the strange behavior remind you that you are evolving. You are walking through a divine disruption. You are being cleansed of the counterfeit. The lies they spoke were not about your worth. They were reactions to your glow. You scared the spirits they didn't know they were hosting. You triggered warfare because your elevation is ahead. Archangel Michael affirms, heaven is still with you. What hurt you has no power to hold you. The watchers are being dismissed. And your clarity is returning now, sevenfold. If this message resonates with you and you feel moved to support, consider giving a super thanks with contributions of up to $20. Your kindness helps us bring more powerful content your way. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Type I break the drama in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2222 is unlocking your discernment. You thought it was an argument. You thought it was just a disagreement, a bad moment, a misunderstanding between two people. But Archangel Michael declares, this was not just a fight. This was a throne test. This was a battle staged by the heavens to measure your ascension, to test your restraint, to reveal the weight of your maturity. And while it appeared chaotic on the surface, in the spirit realm it was a courtroom trial, and your response was the testimony. You were under fire, not because you were weak, but because you are favored. You were targeted, not because of who you were, but because of who you are becoming. The forces that rose against you didn't attack your current strength. They attacked your future seed. They recognized your movement in the spirit. They sensed the shift on your life. The demons assigned to your downfall panicked because they felt your elevation, even before you fully did. This wasn't just emotional fallout. This was a direct attempt to derail your timeline. Every accusation hurled at you, every emotional jab, every distorted rumor, they were fiery darts designed to break your spirit. They weren't angry at your voice. They were terrified of your silence. Your restraint was warfare. Your decision, not to respond in anger, was victory in the spirit. You passed a test most never even recognize as divine. And here is the mystery revealed. The reaction was the battleground, not the words spoken, not the people involved. The true war was over your reaction. The enemy didn't want to destroy your reputation. He wanted to bait you into cursing your own future. He wanted your anger to override your anointing. He wanted your frustration to cancel your focus. But Michael says, you held the line. You may have cried. You may have staggered. But you did not fold. You did not curse your destiny. Every spiritual test has a hidden door of upgrade. Every emotional storm is pregnant with instruction. The heavens record not the noise of the conflict, but the poise of the warrior. And you, beloved, have shown the discipline of the elevated. You didn't match their energy. You matched your calling. Archangel Michael hath been watching. Not just the words thrown against you, but the posture you chose in the aftermath. He saw when you wanted to lash out, but instead you prayed. He saw when you were tempted to gossip in return, but instead you worshipped. He saw when the wounds of betrayal bled inside you, and yet you refused to become bitter. You have chosen higher ground. And now, because of that, the heavens are shifting your status. Make no mistake, it wasn't about them. It wasn't about what they did. It was about what God is building in you. This was a purification disguised as pain. This was the stripping of the old garment, so you could wear the mantle you were born for. You are walking out of this battle with new armor, forged not in ease, but in fire. And Michael declares, heaven has weighed your heart and found you ready for more. You have passed the test of silence. You have endured the trial of misunderstanding. You have stood under attack and chose not to retaliate. And now, the host of heaven turns toward your accusers, not with wrath, but with divine distance. They have forfeited access to you. What was once familiar must now bow to your transformed self. Do not return to the battlefield. Do not seek revenge. The war is over, and you won. Type I am victorious in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 3030 is unlocking your next level. Archangel Michael speaks again. Hear me, chosen one. In the next 72 hours, something will attempt to return. It will come disguised, familiar, wrapped in comfort, but laced with poison. It will arrive as a conversation, a memory, a sudden desire, or even a message that seems innocent. But make no mistake, it is not innocent. It is a spirit of regression, a counterfeit alignment, a cycle trying to revive itself in your atmosphere. This is your warning. This is your window. What heaven removed, hell will try to reintroduce. And it will not knock loudly. It will whisper. It will seduce with nostalgia. It will appeal to your old patterns, your former weaknesses, your unhealed wounds. It will speak your emotional language to bypass your spiritual discernment. But you must not respond the same. You must not repeat the emotional mistakes of before. You must now shift, spiritually, not emotionally. The old triggers will rise again. Not because you are weak, but because you are strong enough now to overcome them differently. What once broke you is now your lesson. What once pulled you in now becomes your cue to rise above. Michael says, do not take the bait. Someone close may suddenly reach out, not out of purity, but as a vessel of distraction. Watch the tone. Discern the energy. Look past the words. Every message is either an assignment from heaven or an infiltration from the enemy. Test the spirits. Measure the fruit. If it brings confusion, if it disrupts your peace, if it stirs doubt, it is not divine. It is a spiritual loop trying to reinsert itself into your path. Heaven allows certain chaos not to punish you, but to expose hidden enemies. The shaking uncovers the moles. The tension reveals the traitors. A sudden text from an old wound. A test. The opportunity that looks too good to be true. A trap. The moment of rage. A battlefield. But you now know the war is never flesh and blood. It's spirit. It's purpose. It's destiny. Michael urges you, do not let this returning spirit find you in the same posture. Do not entertain it. Do not coddle it. Do not explain yourself to it. You owe nothing to what heaven has released you from. Walk away. Seal the gate. Cover your doorposts with truth and prayer. Heaven has given you forewarning so you may not be deceived. This is a holy 72-hour window. Guard it. Watch it. Write down what comes. Journal your reactions. Document your dreams. Divine intelligence will increase in these hours. Answers will come through silence. Strategies will be whispered in your sleep. Angels will visit with scrolls. Listen carefully. You are not alone. If something or someone tries to re-enter, pause. Pray. Do not panic. Ask the Spirit, is this sent or is this sent back? Then your spirit will know. This is your line in the sand. The returning test will not defeat you. You are equipped now. You are covered now. You are awakened now. And heaven stands ready to seal your victory if you choose to stand. Type I am untouchable in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 4444 is your divine firewall. You've been conditioned to react. You've been trained by life to defend, to justify, to explain. But Archangel Michael speaks now with clarity and command. Your protection is not in the noise. Your protection is not in the argument. Your power is not in proving your point. Heaven responds when you stay still in the storm. Yes, still. Still, when they call your name in confusion. Still, when the lies spread like wildfire. Still, when the attacks come from the places you once called safe. Still, not because you are passive, but because you are postured for war in the spirit. Your stillness is not weakness. It is weaponized surrender. It is spiritual authority cloaked in humility. The storm is loud, but your silence shakes the heavens. Michael says, you are being watched, not just by enemies but by angels. Your restraint is your roar. Your quiet is your sword. When you resist the need to retaliate, you activate legions on your behalf. The flesh wants to react, but the spirit waits. The ego screams, but the anointing whispers. And in that whisper, victory is born. Do not explain yourself. Do not chase understanding. Do not try to get them to see your heart. If they could not see your heart in peace, they will not see it in conflict. Let them misunderstand. Let them misquote. Let them mislabel. You do not owe clarity to confusion. What they don't understand now, heaven will reveal later. For your vindication is not in the hands of the crowd. It is sealed in the courts of the Most High. In this moment, Your greatest weapon is stillness. Not idleness, but sacred stillness. Still in your spirit. Still in your thoughts. Still in your response. And while you still yourself, begin to observe. Begin to pray. Begin to listen. Begin to document. Because signs are being sent. Clues are arriving. Patterns are revealing themselves. The divine intelligence of heaven is increasing around you. But it cannot be heard in chaos. It can only be received in calm. You are not abandoned. You are being taught. You are not losing. You are being refined. Stillness is heaven's way of speaking louder than man ever could. When you hold your peace, God displays his power. And what takes man years to understand, God will unfold in a single moment of silence. So now, shield yourself, not in defense but in divinity. Surround your atmosphere with light. Wrap your dwelling in worship. Protect your heart with truth. Speak no idle words. Declare only what heaven has authorized. And when confusion knocks, let silence answer. Michael says, repeat divine affirmations until they shape your soul. Speak what heaven says, not what emotions scream. Declare, I am not what they say. I am what he spoke. Declare, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Declare, my silence is sacred. My stillness is strength. Heaven is guarding you, but your alignment is the key. You must remain grounded in the truth. Refuse the bait of drama. Refuse the trap of the old cycle. Refuse to war in the flesh. Let the Spirit fight for you. Let the angels carry what you cannot explain. The moment you step out of reaction and into revelation, you shift atmospheres. You create a barrier between the false and the divine. You become unapproachable to chaos. Your presence becomes a shield. And in that sacred stillness, heaven builds fortresses around your destiny. So pause now. Take a breath. Return to your center. You are not losing. You are learning. You are not being ignored. You are being insulated. Your stillness is not absence. It is your advancement. Type I stand in stillness in the comments if you receive this message. Lesson code 5555 is surrounding your soul with divine quiet. You felt it. The mislabeling. The confusion. The people treating you as if you were the person you used to be. They mocked your silence. They misunderstood your boundaries. They assumed your stillness was submission. But Archangel Michael rises now to declare, you are not who they remember. You have evolved. You have transcended. You have transformed. This attack didn't come to break you. It came to show you. Every fiery dart that flew at you was an alarm clock for your soul. Every false accusation pulled power from hidden wells you didn't know you had. Every betrayal became a divine announcement. You are no longer bound to your former identity. They aimed at your old self. They came for who you were, not realizing who you had become. Michael says, they targeted your history, not your destiny. They responded to your last chapter, on where the page had turned. And now, as heaven confirms your elevation, you must too. You must walk as the new creature. You must speak from the throne room, not from the throne. You must respond from your healing, not from your wounds. Your wings have unfolded. Your feathers are still wet from the storm, but you are airborne now. No longer crawling for validation. No longer waiting to be seen. You've been forged by rejection, refined by silence, and elevated by endurance. The fire did not destroy you. It purified you. And in its ashes, a stronger, wiser, unshakable version of you has emerged. You've seen who clapped for your pain. You've watched who vanished during your storm. And though it hurt, though it cut deep, it cleared the air. It unmasked the leeches. It silenced the noise. It gave you clarity. That was never rejection. That was redirection. That was not loss. That was liberation. They thought the drama would undo you. They thought the lies would break your foundation. But instead, your roots went deeper. Your praise grew louder. Your focus sharpened. They didn't know that every hit sent you higher. Every wound summoned angels. Every storm revealed your weaponry. You are not who you were. And you owe no apology for your evolution. You owe no access to what cost you your peace. This is the emergence of the anointed. This is the rise of the remnant. This is the shift from survival to sovereignty. You don't just carry oil. You are becoming the altar. Michael reminds you, your elevation was disguised in conflict. Your wings grew through warfare. Your anointing matured through adversity. You've been trusted with pain because you've proven you won't misuse the platform. And now, heaven opens doors that your past cannot enter. This is your declaration moment. Rise into it. On your growth. Walk in your knowing. You're not arrogant. You're awakened. You're not bitter. You're built. You're not broken. You're born again in the fire. If this message resonates with you and you feel moved to support, consider giving a super thanks with contributions of up to $50. Your kindness helps us bring more powerful content your way. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Type I have evolved in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 6666 is sealing your transformation in divine light. You've been wrestling with the aftermath of what seemed like an emotional storm. You searched your heart. You've asked, was it me? You've replayed conversations, moments, missteps. But Archangel Michael pierces through the fog of confusion now. This wasn't just emotional. This wasn't just a breakdown. This wasn't just stress or hormones or grief. This was a divine unlocking. A holy quake, meant to open what had been sealed for far too long. That flood of tears, that eruption of emotion, that intense sense of loss or disconnection. It wasn't random. It wasn't just a low moment. It was prophecy being birthed in pain. You weren't crumbling. You were being cracked open so heaven's light could break through. You weren't being punished. You were being promoted, internally first. Michael declares, your pain triggered prophecy. The shaking broke the seal on your next level. And because you didn't run, because you didn't shut down, because you stood in it and didn't retreat, the shift happened. You are no longer the version of you that walked into that storm. Your elevation didn't happen after the storm passed. It happened right in the middle of it. And most missed it. But not you. Heaven saw the posture of your heart. The tears didn't hit the ground. They hit the altar. They were not wasted. They were not ignored. They were translated into a spiritual unlocking. And now, timelines are shifting. Doors are opening. Old cycles are collapsing. And it's not because life calmed down. It's because your spirit rose up. This was your final emotional test before elevation. This was your proving ground. This was heaven's way of asking, can you be faithful with confusion? Can you be obedient in uncertainty? Can you worship while bleeding? And you answered with your silence, with your stillness, with your refusal to regress. And so, the verdict from heaven is this: elevation granted, acceleration authorized, timing activated. You must now view what happened through prophetic eyes. At argument, it wasn't about the topic, it was about timing. At breakdown, it wasn't about weakness, it was about birthing. At rejection, it wasn't about people, it was about preparation. Every emotional disruption was heaven's coded language to awaken your next dimension. You were never under attack because you were weak. You were under attack because you were dangerous. Hell does not fight the sleeping, it wars against the awakened. And your awakening just shifted atmospheres. The enemy knew your timeline was close to maturing, and so he launched the last-minute distractions. But it's too late now. The lock has turned. The door is swinging open. What was withheld is now being released. Michael says, you must no longer interpret your emotions as evidence of instability. They were evidence of breakthrough. You are sensitive because you are sent. You are discerning because you are destined. Your tears were not a breakdown. They were a transaction. What you cried out is now echoing in heaven. What you released in silence is returning in blessing. And those blessings, they are not random. They are attached to the battle you almost misread. They are tethered to the pain you nearly dismissed. Every prophetic word coming to pass in this season is the harvest of what you endured in silence. So now, you must rise with clarity. You must claim what is yours. You must stop apologizing for your fire. Heaven has confirmed your growth, and now earth must witness your emergence. Type I am unlocked in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 7777 is flowing through your timeline now. Now the veil is lifted. Now the shadows have fled. Now you see what you could not see before. And Michael declares, now that you've seen the truth, you must respond with power. You cannot return to how you used to move. You cannot step back into smallness. You cannot continue to play the part they remember when you've now stepped into the identity heaven ordained. This is your moment of response. This is not the time for hesitation. This is not the season for silence. And now is when you speak with clarity. Now is when you act with authority. Now is when you declare alignment. I agree with heaven's will for me. Say it until the atmosphere bends. Say it until the doubt flees. Say it until your spirit roars in agreement. You survived the ambush. You discerned the disguise. You've witnessed the shaking. Now it's time to move. Not reactively, but prophetically. Heaven is not asking you to go back and fix the chaos. Heaven is asking you to move forward and release the power. The power is in your motion. The anointing is in your action. Destiny is not a concept. It's a series of decisions. And now, you must decide to step. Michael says, don't retreat. Don't rehearse the pain. Don't replay the betrayal. That moment was never meant to define you. It was sent to activate you. You have seen too much now. You know too much now. You carry too much oil to shrink again. Declare it. I move in purpose. I respond in power. I align with destiny. Every small act of obedience in this hour will trigger a ripple of divine manifestations. Say the yes. Make the call. Start the project. Release the apology. And the toxic connection. Equity says rest. Ambiguity says speak. Action releases anointing. Movement activates manifestation. Heaven is co-signing your faith steps. This isn't just about your personal peace. This is about your prophetic placement. Where you stand now will determine what you inherit. Do not let fear rewrite your path. Do not let hesitation delay your miracle. You were born for this hour. You were built for this moment. You have survived too much to turn around now. Michael urges you. Heaven's support is behind your movement. Angels are assigned to your obedience. Miracles are magnetized by your motion. This is no longer the preparation phase. This is the performance. This is the fulfillment season. Now is when faith and fire must walk hand in hand. What you say must match what you see in the spirit. What you do must align with a vision that was hidden in your tears. This is not the time for doubt. This is not the time for public approval. This is the time to lock eyes with heaven and walk. And as you move, you will find that what once resisted you now bows. What once blocked you now opens. What once attacked you now avoids. You've entered the realm of divine command. Your atmosphere recognizes the power of your agreement. If this message resonates with you and you feel moved to support, consider giving a super thanks with contributions of up to $10. Your kindness helps us bring more powerful content your way. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Type I agree with heaven in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 8888 is now unlocking new alignment. You felt alone. You wept in the stillness, asking questions heaven did not immediately answer. You reached for something to hold, yet found only silence. But Archangel Michael now reveals, those tears were not unseen. That silence was not empty. As you were crying, angels were collecting prayers. Every breathless groan was recorded. Every tear that slid down your cheek was a seed planted in the soil of the Spirit. And heaven, oh heaven, was not ignoring you. Heaven was working quietly in reverse. Yes, while you were breaking, while your heart shattered beneath the weight of emotional betrayal, while confusion wrapped around your soul, a holy transaction was taking place. You cried in the natural, and heaven moved in the supernatural. You lost your words, but the Spirit translated your pain. You were still, but your angels were active. The exchange was never verbal. It was sacred, hidden, a divine negotiation beyond your understanding. You didn't need to speak because your soul screamed. You didn't need to explain because your wounds spoke volumes. Michael declares, in your silence, heaven heard you louder than any words could express. There are scrolls in heaven stained with your agony, and angels assigned to execute restoration have already been dispatched. What you thought was lost is already in the process of return. Joy, verity, identity. These were not just emotions, they were spiritual inheritances. And yes, they were stolen. Over time, through words, through trauma, through spiritual infiltration, these treasures were quietly snatched. But now, Michael proclaims, the reversal has begun. Heaven is returning what you forgot you even lost. Restoration is now moving through your atmosphere like a silent tide, gentle but unstoppable. You must understand the principle of the silent exchange. When God wants to elevate you, He often withdraws the noise. When angels are moving in high rank, they operate without announcement. The greater the transaction in the heavens, the quieter it feels on earth. And so, what you called abandonment was divine confidentiality. What you called silence was sacred secrecy. Heaven was negotiating on your behalf. As you rest now, not just physically, but spiritually, the angels continue. They gather fragments of your heart. They reposition what was displaced. They rewire what was distorted. While you sleep, they speak into your dreams. While you journal, they download coded messages. While you worship in private, they construct public miracles. Michael says, the realm of spirit honors your stillness. The war was real, but the peace is prophetic. You didn't lose, you transitioned. You didn't collapse. You traded old strength for new power. You didn't walk away, you were carried. What you didn't know to ask for, heaven is still returning. But take heed. Do not talk yourself out of what's being restored. Do not allow temporary emotion to disrupt eternal recompense. Stay in alignment. Stay in worship. Stay alert. You are walking through an invisible corridor of divine exchange. This is where glory replaces grief. This is where purpose replaces pain. This is where supernatural deposits are being released in silence. Heaven negotiates differently. Earth demands attention. Heaven moves in alignment. And you, chosen one, are being aligned. You are in a spiritual courtroom where your name has been lifted, your case reviewed, and your blessings released. This exchange is sealed with angelic presence because you didn't fold when you could have, because you didn't fight in the flesh, because you yielded in faith. You cried. Heaven responded. And now, the balance is shifting. Type I receive my return in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 9090 is wrapping around your spiritual account. They thought they could touch your spirit and walk away untouched. They thought they could send disorder, whisper lies, speak ruin into the air around you, and continue as if heaven was not watching. But Archangel Michael declares with divine authority, they sent disorder, and it now returns as their own confusion. What was sent to destroy you has boomeranged into their own atmosphere. Do not rejoice in their collapse. Do not dance over their delay. But know this, justice is not always loud. Sometimes it comes like a shadow. Sometimes it rises like the sun after a long night. Sometimes it looks like the very doors that opened for them suddenly closing. What was once arranged for their promotion now rearranges to expose their intent. God is correcting timelines. Yes, the manipulation they used to accelerate themselves is being reversed. The false alignments they built through gossip are now imploding. The peace they stole from you is now being retrieved, and their own peace is unraveling. Not because you cursed them, but because heaven honors balance. And heaven has decided, the imbalance ends now. Michael says, you never had to fight them. Your integrity did. Your tears did. Your silence did. They mistook your silence for surrender. They mistook your kindness for ignorance. But what they didn't understand was that you were not alone. That even in your weakest moment, angels were encamped around you. Restoration is already in motion. You're seeing the first signs, the unexpected favor, the sudden clarity, the reversed decisions, the new doors. That's not coincidence, it's compensation. Whoever pays in measures men cannot understand. What they did to discredit you, God is using to distinguish you. Where they tried to bury your influence, heaven is resurrecting your purpose. And understand this, the ones who rose against you did so on borrowed time. Their attacks were their test, and they failed it. Because what heaven sent to grow them, they used to wound you. And now, Michael confirms, access revoked, assignments terminated, clarity restored. Your name is being cleansed in rooms you didn't enter. Your honor is being restored in places that tried to erase you. Your influence is returning, not with force, but with favor. And those who mocked your process will watch your promotion. You must now release them. Don't curse them. Don't pursue revenge. Don't rehash the betrayal. Heaven has it handled. Your focus must remain on your healing, your assignment, your open doors. The reversal is already happening. The balance is being restored. The justice is spiritual, and so is the reward. Michael's sword has cut through the confusion. The whirlwind has shifted direction. You are not the same, and what rose against you cannot rise again. Type "I stand in divine justice" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1212 is restoring everything you lost. Breathe now, chosen one. Assail the fear. Let go of the weight. Archangel Michael wraps his wings around you now and speaks with divine clarity. You were never in danger. You were in transition. What felt like instability was simply the shifting of realms. What felt like betrayal was a divine clearing. What looked like a collapse was actually your cunning. You were not attacked to be destroyed. You were activated to be delivered. This was not about punishment. This was about positioning. God didn't forsake you. He was leading you through. The chaos wasn't confusion. It was the contractions of a new spiritual birth. And now, the heavens are quieting. The fire is coming. The war is ending, because the warrior has arrived. Michael surrounds you now with divine fire, not to consume, but to protect. You are sealed. You are hidden in plain sight. You are no longer vulnerable to the attacks that once found you. What touched you before can't touch you again. The codes of heaven have changed. The access to your spirit hath been restricted. You have been upgraded. And so now, receive the blessing. You are sealed in peace. You are covered in truth. You are surrounded by light. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. No lie spoken about you shall last. No force set against your future shall stand. Heaven has spoken, and it is so. Declare it with power. I am not attacked. I am activated. Say it until your spirit believes. Say it until your enemies recognize it. Say it until the earth aligns with it. You are not just delivered. You are deployed. You are not just restored. You are recommissioned. You are not just surviving. You are seated in authority. The battle is over. The blessing is beginning. Walk in it. Speak from it. Lie from it. Type "I am not attacked. I am activated" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1234 is now sealed over your life. Go in peace. Go in fire. Go in divine confidence. This message is finished, but your glory is just beginning.